My name is Kamsy, a 35-year-old registered nurse living in America. I own my own house, drive a good car, and work almost 60 hours a week saving lives. People say I'm successful. But in the quiet corners of my life, I know what they whisper behind my back: fine girl, but no husband. Last Christmas, I flew back to Nigeria to rest my head and heal my heart. I didn't know I was flying straight into the sweetest love and the deadliest betrayal of my life. A man walked into my world with a smile warm enough to melt my guard, and before I knew it, I had given him everything: my heart, my home, even a chance to start a new life in America. But just 2 weeks before his immigration interview, I heard a phone call that shattered everything I believed in. A phone call that taught me that love can blind you, but it can also sharpen your eyes. This is how I survived the man who thought he could use me, and how God used the pain to bless me with a love I never expected. Marrying Chike felt like stepping into a dream I had waited too long for. After the traditional rites, we returned to America together, and for the first 6 months, he was the kind of husband women pray for. He cooked before I got home from long shifts, cleaned the house until it shined like a hotel lobby, and even massaged my feet on nights when my body felt like it would collapse. Sometimes I would watch him humming in the kitchen and feel tears prick my eyes. Was this how love was supposed to feel? Soft? Easy? He told me every morning, "Kamsy, you saved me. You gave my life direction." And I believed him. I truly did. I sponsored his papers, filled out every form, paid every fee, and held his hands through the process with no regrets. My friends joked that I had finally landed my jackpot, and for once in my life, I didn't argue. I thought I had found my partner, my rest, my home. But life has a way of exposing what darkness hides. 2 weeks to his immigration interview, I returned home early from a shift, fighting a throbbing headache that felt like my skull was tightening. The house was unusually quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your skin rise. I dropped my bag gently and walked toward the bedroom to lie down. Just as I reached the door, I heard his voice, low, excited, and nothing like the sweet tone he used for me. He was on the phone with a woman. At first, I thought it was harmless. Until he said the sentence that froze my breath: "Baby, the mega didn't suspect anything. Once I get the green card, I'll divorce her after 6 months. Unreconcilable differences. Then I'll bring you and the kids over. America is sweet, my love. I miss you." My knees went weak. I stood there, listening to the man I loved plan my destruction with laughter in his voice. He described our marriage like a business transaction. He called me mega. He talked about America as if I was nothing but a bridge to cross. The betrayal cut so deep I felt numb. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply turned around, walked out of the house, and drove to a coffee shop where I sat for 3 silent hours, staring at nothing. Planning everything. I sat in that coffee shop for 3 hours, watching people walk in and out with smiles, laptops, and conversations that meant nothing to me. My heartbeat was loud enough to drown the music playing overhead. My mind kept replaying Chike's words: "Once I get the green card, I'll divorce her." The mega didn't notice anything. I felt foolish, used, humiliated, but strangely, I also felt strong. There's a kind of clarity that only heartbreak can bring, like someone wipes the fog off your eyes. I knew if I confronted him immediately, he would twist the truth, kneel down, cry, and swear he didn't mean it. And because love is stubborn, I might even believe him. So instead, I chose silence. Strategic silence. I sipped my cold coffee, picked up my car keys, and drove straight to the immigration office. My voice didn't shake once. I withdrew my sponsorship, explained the fraud, provided evidence of our rushed marriage and financial transactions. The officer looked at me with sympathy I refused to absorb. I wasn't a victim. I was a woman fixing her mistake before it burned her future. When the process was completed, I walked back to my car feeling lighter, not healed, but in control. Going home that evening was the hardest performance of my life. Chike rushed to me with his usual smile, asking why I looked tired. I lied smoothly, work stress. He cooked for me, massaged my feet, kissed my forehead. The same hands that held the phone while plotting my downfall. But I had already detached myself. Every time he talked about our future in America, my stomach tightened with quiet disgust, yet my face remained calm. The night before his interview, he ironed his suit and told me, "After tomorrow, it's officially both of us forever." I smiled back, and he didn't notice the emptiness in it. My heart didn't beat for him anymore. The love had died the moment I heard that call. But the woman in me needed closure, the kind that doesn't come from tears but from justice. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, counting down the hours until he would face the truth he thought I was too stupid to uncover. 2 weeks earlier, he thought he was playing me. But by morning, he would realize he underestimated the woman he called Mega. The morning of the immigration interview looked like every other morning, at least to Chike. He was humming joyfully, wearing the navy blue suit I bought with my own money. He sprayed cologne, practiced his answers, and kissed my cheek like a devoted husband. Inside me, everything was still. No anger. No fear. Just a quiet readiness. As we drove to the office, he kept telling me how grateful he was, how God used me to bless him, how we would build a beautiful future together. I nodded. I didn't trust my voice. When we arrived, he held my hand tightly, and the irony almost made me laugh. He was holding the same hand that had already signed his downfall. We sat in the waiting area, couples around us whispering, going over their papers. Chike squeezed my fingers again. "After today, it's both of us forever," he repeated. I looked at him, really looked, and saw a stranger. A stranger who thought love was something to exploit. My chest didn't ache anymore. I felt free. When our number was called, Chike stood up confidently, but instead of the door opening for us, 2 security officers approached. "Sir, we need you to step aside," one said. Chike frowned, confused. For what? Before he could finish, they took his documents and informed him that his sponsor had withdrawn support and filed a fraud report. His face drained of color instantly. "What do you mean? My sponsor is right here. This is my wife." He pointed at me like a drowning man reaching for the last air bubble. Then he turned to me, desperation shaking his voice. "Kamsy, what's happening? Baby, talk." I stood there, calm, unbothered, unbroken. I met his eyes, those same eyes that lied to me so easily, and said the words that ended everything, "Chike. The Mega has locked the bank." The officers handcuffed him immediately as he screamed my name, swearing, begging, promising. I didn't move. I didn't blink. They led him out like a criminal, and I watched him vanish through the hallway without an ounce of pity. That same week, he was sent to prison for immigration fraud, then deported back to Nigeria. For the first time in months, I slept peacefully. Not because I wasn't hurt, but because I chose myself. I chose my future. I chose my sanity. After Chike's deportation, my life became unusually quiet. Not empty, just calm. I focused on my work, picked up extra shifts, and slowly healed from the kind of heartbreak that doesn't break you, but reshapes you. I didn't tell anyone the full story, people only knew the marriage failed. That was enough for me. I stopped thinking about love altogether. My heart needed rest, not romance. That was when Dr. Santo arrived, our new trauma physician, transferred from another state. I didn't pay him much attention at first. Tall, confident, intelligent, with a gentle authority that made even the most stubborn nurses respect him. But he noticed me immediately. Every day. He always asked if I had eaten. If I was resting, if I needed help with my patients. One afternoon, he called my name in that deep voice of his, and I turned around to see him smiling like he knew something I didn't. "Kamsy. You haven't changed." I blinked in confusion. He laughed. "We went to the same secondary school. I was your senior." It hit me like fresh air. The familiar face, the eyes, I remembered him. Back then, I was the quiet girl who loved books, he was the brilliant science prefect. Life has a funny way of reconnecting paths. With time, talking to him became easy, dangerously easy. He invited me for lunch one evening after our shift, and what was supposed to be 30 minutes became 3 hours of laughing, sharing stories, and realizing we understood each other without trying. Samto was nothing like what I had ever experienced. He was rich, stable, kind, and emotionally intelligent. No games. No manipulation. Just honesty. He treated me like a woman deserving of care, not like a ticket to a better life. 2 months later, he asked me to be his girlfriend with a sincerity that melted the last pieces of caution in my heart. For the first time since Chike, I allowed myself to feel again. And it felt safe. When he proposed, soft music, quiet dinner, his voice trembling slightly, I didn't hesitate. I said yes. It felt like God was restoring everything I thought I lost, but in a better form. And when we traveled home for our traditional rites, I felt complete. But I didn't know that fate had one last scene waiting for me. A scene that would seal my closure forever. When Samto and I arrived in my hometown for our traditional marriage rites, my heart felt lighter than it had in years. The whole village buzzed with excitement, my family ran around preparing food, decorations, and music, and everyone wanted to meet the man who had captured my heart. Standing beside Samto, steady, mature, deeply respectful, I finally understood what peace and love felt like. He greeted elders properly, helped carry chairs, even joined my little nephews in playing football. There was no rush, no pressure, no pretending. Just love. Real, intentional love. That evening, as we were returning from greeting one of my uncles, I saw a figure by the roadside, bent over a wheelbarrow, packing dirt from the gutter. His clothes were worn out, his slippers almost broken. Something in me froze. When he looked up, our eyes met, mine steady, his wide with shock and shame. It was Chike. For a moment, the world went silent. He tried to straighten himself, wiping his dirty hands on his faded trousers. Kamsy. He stammered. His voice shook. He looked nothing like the polished, confident man who once stood proudly beside me in America. The consequences of his choices had settled on him like a heavy shadow. Life has been hard, he muttered, his eyes avoiding mine. I'm just managing. I nodded slowly, not with pity, but with acceptance. Everyone walks the path they choose. Samto stepped forward and placed a protective arm around my shoulder, his presence calm but firm. Chike looked at him, then back at me, and in that quiet moment, he realized he had lost far more than he ever expected. I didn't speak harshly, didn't gloat, didn't remind him of what he did. Instead, I offered the same thing I had given myself, closure. Take care of yourself, I said simply. His eyes glistened with regret, but I turned away. That chapter of my life was over, dead and buried. As we walked back, Samto squeezed my hand gently. Are you okay? He asked. I smiled, truly smiled. I'm perfect. Because I was. Love had hurt me once, but it didn't end me. I rose, healed, and found a man who loved me without conditions. And as our traditional wedding began, drums beating, family dancing, joy overflowing, I realized something: sometimes life breaks you just to rebuild you beautifully. My name is Kamsy. And this is how God turned heartbreak into destiny for me.